Hi, my name is Olivia Allen, and this is She Did Something Bad, Taylor Swift's Reclamation of the Monstrous Feminine. In an October 2019 interview, former President Barack Obama stated, "There's this sense sometimes of there's the way of making change is to be as judgmental as possible about other people. That's not activism, that's not bringing about change." The fact that the 44th President of the United States offered commentary on cancel culture proves that this form of online shaming of public figures thoroughly permeates society in an increasingly digital world. Even pop icon Taylor Swift is not immune. Following a 2016 scandal involving Kanye West, who Taylor Swift has famously engaged in conflict with since the 2009 VMA Awards, Taylor Swift became the #1 trending topic on Twitter because she had been canceled. This sudden fall from grace served as inspiration for Swift's sixth studio album, Reputation, which gladly accepts Swift's vilification by the public. Swift, through music videos, a stadium tour, and song lyrics, uses Julia Kristeva's definition of abjection, along with Laura Mulvey's concept of the male gaze, to create a female contemporary horror character that reclaims Barbara Creed's idea of the monstrous feminine. Taylor Swift's contemporary reclamation of the monstrous feminine, which has traditionally been used to categorize women as other, apart from, and disgusting, allows Swift to take back her sexuality and find liberation in her own needs. And conversations surrounding women's reclamation of their bodies and sexuality are not new. However, the concept of being able to subvert the specific idea of the monstrous feminine in a way that empowers women is a more recent prospect. According to Rachel V. Harrison in Dystopia as Liberation, Disturbing Femininities in Contemporary Thailand, female Thai movie director Kam Phaka is exploring the embrace of the Thai primitive, the abject, and the supernatural, not as dystopian and monstrous, but as a knowingly reinvented utopian space that exemplifies ways in which archaic and mythical forms of female power can be appropriated and recast. Harrison tells us that this director's work has disrupted the social and political structure of contemporary Thailand as a deliberate display of the monstrous feminine that threatens to ruffle the utopian surface of power. While not pertaining to Taylor Swift or the American music industry, Rachel Harrison's article helps to show us that the monstrous feminine is no longer reserved for American horror movies that fill the desires of men. Leaking into major American pop artists' works and into political movements overseas, this new way of looking at the monstrous feminine puts power back into the monster's hands. Reputation is an example of the monster holding the power and telling the story. Released in 2017, Reputation is a 15-track studio album written and recorded by multi-award-winning musical artist Taylor Swift, including tracks entitled I Did Something Bad, Look What You Made Me Do, and Don't Blame Me. This album has a dark, ominous atmosphere that embodies feelings of anger, resentment, and vengeance. The supporting stadium tour took place between May 8th and November 21st of 2018 and included set pieces such as giant snakes and thrones, as well as 16 dancers that helped to evoke the mood of the album. Swift released 4 music videos of songs from Reputation: Look What You Made Me Do, Delicate, Ready for It, and Endgame. The entire era established by the album itself, as well as the above-mentioned visual media, represents the brooding, angry Swift that media's cancel culture created. 1989, known for its synth sound, shiny costumes, and neon tour set, and Lover, which is overwhelmingly pastel and full of feel-good love songs, the 2 albums immediately preceding and following Reputation, are a reflection of the brand that Taylor Swift has created, maintained, or portrays. She is a shiny, reflective love song machine. Therefore, since Reputation does not fit that description, it can be concluded that Reputation is quite distinct from the rest of Swift's discography and exists outside of Taylor Swift's brand. The momentary nature of the descent into the dark, snake-ridden world of Reputation helps to establish what Swift is doing in this album, playing a character. This Snake Queen character is not her, proven by the immediate swing back into her brand with the release of Lover. This character utilizes Kristeva's abjection and Mulvey's male gaze in many ways, most notably in music videos. Swift's Look What You Made Me Do and Ready for It music videos contain several instances of abjection. The Look What You Made Me Do video opens on a dark, foggy graveyard, and Swift's first appearance is as a zombie with blackened teeth, matted hair, and hollowed, sunken features. She emerges from underground and has to claw her way up to the surface. All of these elements are not only freaky or creepy, but actually physiologically abject. These images produce bodily responses of disgust and fear. Other examples of abject images in this video include a swarm of snakes climbing a set of stairs towards Swift, an army of cyborg women being controlled by Swift, and Swift appearing to wear an outfit covered in blood. In Ready for It, Swift herself is the cyborg, unclothed and mechanical. At one point, the limbs of her cyborg body detach as she transforms into a full robot. She's also seen with a snake crawling up her face, and there are spiders seen crawling through radioactive tunnels throughout the video. If all of these images simply existed on the sidelines of this video, they would still be abject and frightening. However, when Swift continually declares herself the queen of these things throughout the videos, sitting on a throne above the snakes as they crawl toward her, standing on a podium with a whip as she addresses the army of cyborgs, standing atop a pile of human bodies that reach to her from below, escaping her prison and controlling the robots, she establishes that she is not a victim of abjection. She revels in it. She gains power from it. The mere act of deciding to create and sell this album furthers this point. She is making millions of dollars by choosing to be a horrifying, abject creature. The second element of the monstrous feminine, Mulvey's male gaze, is present throughout Swift's videos. It's primarily seen in the costumes and choreography. In Look What You Made Me Do, Swift sits naked in a bathtub full of diamonds. Throughout both videos, Swift wears various costumes that include short shorts that show off her legs, glamorous makeup, and tall heels. She is seen in revealing leather and fishnet tights as well. However, it is clear throughout these videos that she is not subject to anyone's staring or view of her, which is how we would normally define the male gaze. She has put herself in these costumes and is always seen in a position of power. The costumes, and in turn her sexuality in part, give her this power over others. And Look What You Made Me Do, she has a group of 7 male dancers who all wear t-shirts that read I love TS. They dance behind Taylor and consistently fawn over her. She is using her sensuality as a tool to make men fall in love with her and exert power over them, thus inverting the male gaze. Many of the abject images and those images that utilize the male gaze that are present in Swift's music videos are mirrored in her stadium tour. One of the most obvious examples of this is the massive towering snakes that loomed over the stage on which Swift performed. Similarly, the singer also mirrored the shot in Look What You Made Me Do, in which Swift stands atop a pile of people reaching up toward her. Her costumes that showed her entire legs, paired with high heels that Swift seamlessly walked in, reflect the costumes in the videos, and once again, intentionally use sensuality and the male gaze in order to gain power. But she welcomes and encourages audiences to look at her body. In I Did Something Bad, her male dancers look at and fawn over her body and then literally fall over when she moves her hips or arms. Swift clearly used the literal gaze of males to her advantage to be in control. This live performance of the character that Swift created once again reclaimed and reveled in both of the elements of the monstrous feminine, thereby reclaiming the actual concept itself. Aside from the visual representations of the album, the lyrics themselves also celebrate the female horror character. In Ready for It, Swift sings, "Knew I was a robber, first time that he saw me, running off and stealing hearts and never saying sorry." This image of leaving men with nothing after she is done with them is echoed in I Did Something Bad. I never trust a narcissist, but they love me, so I play them like a violin, and I make it look oh so easy. They say I did something bad, then why does it feel so good? Most fun I ever had, and I'd do it over and over and over again if I could. Several times throughout the album, Swift suggests that she uses men, strips them of their livelihood, and then leaves them just because it's fun. The idea that she can destroy men and that they should fear her plays into the idea of the monstrous feminine, but she gladly accepts and takes up her role as the monster, saying that it's fun, easy, and that it's exactly what she should be doing. As she has major influence over young girls across the world, this proud declaration of her sexuality and the power that it has also suggests to young women that it is what they can be doing as well, and that being sensual is fun and exciting. Finally, Taylor Swift, throughout Reputation, embodies many of the monstrous feminine archetypes. She embodies the cyborg or archaic mother when she is controlling an army of female cyborgs from a giant podium, the possessed monster as the zombie in the graveyard. Though not possessed by something like a demon, she is still out of control of her own body because of the need to consume brains to live. And the vampire in various lyrics that discuss drawing things such as money and life out of men only to leave them shortly thereafter. While Swift's version of the vampire archetype doesn't include literal blood, it does include draining men of necessary resources. She also established herself as a witch in I Did Something Bad, stating, "They're burning all the witches, even if you aren't one, so light me up." Harkening to the days of witch trials, she equates herself to a witch who is being burned for something she did not do, but she is resigned to her fate. Swift's refusal to be categorized as one type of monstrous feminine reinforces the idea that she is reclaiming it in a modern way, that she can be all of these types and more, and she is quite proud of it. Although harsh criticism and internet shame forced Taylor Swift into a 3-year hiatus from the music industry, Swift used her time away from the spotlight to create a character that embraces the villain that the public wanted her to be, and she did it gladly. Using elements of objection and a male gaze to her advantage, Swift created a female horror character that gives a new, contemporary definition to the concept of the monstrous feminine, one that allows women to be in control of the narrative. Swift's ability to use this character as catharsis for herself and her own expression of sexuality paved the way for other pop artists in the music industry, as well as for women across the world who follow Swift's career and find inspiration not only in the Reputation album, but in Taylor Swift herself. Thank you.